There's also, as far as the nervous system is concerned, if I have headphones on, then it's like you don't have peripheral vision, you don't have peripheral hearing, you just have what's coming through. There's the safety thing. Most of us feel more safe with peripheral vision. So the nervous system recognizes that. And I think I feel, for me anyway, a similar thing with hearing.
Cue music. Places, everybody, places. We're starting in 3, 2.
Welcome to the Autoimmune Hour, where we look at the rise of autoimmune disorders. I've brought together top experts that range from doctors, specialists, nutritionists, researchers, and even those recovering from autoimmune to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information about autoimmunity and how to live your life uninterrupted.
Thank you for joining us here on the Autoimmune Hour with Sharon Sayler. Always seek sound legal, medical, and or professional advice regarding any problems, conditions, and any of the recommendations you see, hear, or read here on the Autoimmune Hour, Understanding Autoimmune, and Life Interrupted Radio. Join the Autoimmune Hour's Courage Club. Sign up now at understandingautoimmune.com. Now, back to your host, Sharon Sayler.
Welcome, everyone, to the Autoimmune Hour. I'm Sharon Sayler from SharonSayler.com, and as always, it's my honor and pleasure to be with you here tonight on another brand new episode. I hope the sound's okay. I had to put my headphones on. I'm in a noisy location, and so we're just going to go with it. And speaking of sound, we've got Sharon Carne from the Sound Wellness Institute back on. She and I were chatting a while ago, and she was talking about how sound and the nervous system. And if you've been following the show at all, I'm really understanding now that a big part of autoimmune is a dysregulated nervous system. And so when she said, Sharon, sound is the food for the nervous system, I'm like, let's hit record. So Sharon Carne is the CEO of Sound Wellness Institute, and she's also an author and an international speaker and trainer and director of training and development, a publisher, musician, and a recording artist. Whew, I'm tired with just that, but you're going to see how fantastic she is when she talks about how sound and music, but sound in general, can affect our well-being for the positive and sometimes not so positive. So welcome, Sharon. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Sharon. I'm really looking forward to this conversation because sound as food for the nervous system is so profound, and I can hardly wait to explore all of the ways that sound can do that.
Okay, so you got me intrigued. I understand what food is, and I understand what nourishment food can create. How did you come up with the idea that sound was food for the nervous system?
The main way that the nervous system responds to sound is with the release of hormones. And if it's junk sound, then you get the release of stress hormones. If it's nourishing sound, you get the release of hormones that support the parasympathetic nervous system, calm and relaxation, digestion, all of those things. And it's mostly the response of the nervous system very actively to the sounds around us. It's responding even if you walk into the grocery store and there's always music playing, or the mall or the forest. Our nervous system automatically responds with the release of hormones that supports either health or not health.
Wow. I'm intrigued because having teenagers be in my life before, I would have said a lot of their sounds were junk sounds. And yet when I would ask them, at least turn it down, they would say that it was calming, although it was not calming to me. So it's not, obviously, probably not universal specific sounds.
Such a fabulous point, Sharon. And I could tell a great story about this with our own son when he was 16. We all respond to sound, and sound is food for our nervous system. However, we all respond uniquely to sound. And that's something that we don't always recognize in our everyday world. Our son, when he was 16, went into a clinical depression. We went to see the doctor, the school counselors, and worked with everyone to help support him. And the doctor, of course, prescribed medication. He took one and he said, Mom, I don't like the way my brain feels on this stuff. So we threw it all down the toilet. and I put dark stones in his room. He was going through a dark night of the soul, and also he loves heavy metal music. And for me and my husband Ed, heavy metal is junk sound. It is not something that supports me or my husband. However, it was a sound that supported him to help him release pent-up frustrations or whatever was building up in his nervous system. It helped him to release it, particularly the angry music. And angry music can go two ways. It can make a person more angry, or it can help release that anger from the nervous system and the body. For him, fortunately, it had that effect. It took a few months of plugging our ears while he played the music really loud. He could come home really frustrated, go up, slam his door the way teenagers do, and then put the music on really loud. And after half an hour, he'd come back down again feeling pretty well normal. And for him, it helped to actually heal the depression. And I'm really grateful it did that. It was the sound he needed, and he knew that intuitively. It was the sound that he needed in order to process what was going on for him.
That's fascinating. I'm thinking of the depression it would have caused in me on the other side. But,
There's that to deal with, yes.
but I did like the concept, well, you just plugged your ears and went with it because it was working. And I'm thinking about that, how, and I'm also thinking about how sounds or music from my teen years, still here decades later, is the sounds or the music I like to play to lift my spirits or whatever. I find that the dance music of my era and all of that is more fun than the dance music of this era. Is that just me, or do people regress to the sounds from their childhood?
It activates a part of the brain that brings back the memories that we experienced when those sounds were playing and when we experienced that music. And in fact, there's another story that's hilarious in a way. We have a grocery store in our neighborhood, and our neighborhood is about probably 40 years old. And so there were a lot of baby boomers who settled there. I'm in a baby boomer age, and when their kids were young. And the neighborhood grew up, and the store was so fascinating. One of the grocery stores always played music from the 60s and from the 70s. That music that this age range grew up with in their teenage and early 20 years. And it was the most successful grocery store in the city because going in grocery shopping, people would be whistling and singing away to their favorite tune, putting more things in their cart. There are a lot of studies in marketing that say if you play the right music in stores, people will fill up their carts more. And boy, did they nail the community. They knew there was a high percentage of baby boomers at that time. It's changed now. At that time, it was the best store or making the most profit in Calgary. It was fascinating.
That is amazing. It reminds me of a coffee shop recently. I used to like to go to the coffee shop, but then they started allowing their lead employee to choose the music. And so each time I went in, it was different. Sometimes it was music soothing to me, or it was from my childhood, or other times it was music I wouldn't have even called music. And so that's just me. I'm just like, what is this noise? And I find that fascinating that I really, because it's unexpected now, I don't know what I'm going to get. I'm actually choosing other coffee shops that are more expected, even if it's not my preferred music.
Mhm. Absolutely, and we do that too. In fact, if the music is too loud, I'll usually go up and ask if they can turn it down. I did that in one popular restaurant here quite a few years ago in Calgary, and they're the upbeat kind of modern menu, a chain restaurant, and they had their music playing really loud. The strategy for playing loud, fast music, and let me backtrack to how this works on the body, because the beat of music will change your heartbeat. And your heart, or if I can rephrase it the other way around, your heart tries to match the beat of any music around you. And they found in grocery stores, if you play slow music or their favorite music of the community, they're going to put more stuff in the chart and sales go up to 40%. In restaurants, if you play music with a fast beat, it speeds up the heartbeat. You eat faster. The music is so loud, you can't communicate with the people you came with unless you're yelling. And then people eat faster, so they clear the tables and they sell twice as many tables and twice as many meals. And so when I asked the waiter to turn the music down, he said, "Oh no, our head office has required us to keep the music at this volume because they know this volume level will sell more meals." And there is still another restaurant in town where they do that. We've asked them to turn it down and they say, "We'll try." They don't they don't really. So I don't go there anymore, or I'll use the outdoor patio where it's not too bad. And it's a strategy, and we don't always realize, and for those people who run the coffee shops and the restaurants, they need to know their audience, so they play the music that will keep people there longer, maybe buying more drinks or support their audience, so they keep coming back. It's fascinating.
It is, and if you think about how subtle the maybe manipulation is too strong a word, but that's the only word that's coming to mind, community. Maybe you guys have a better word for it, but how subtle that is. And obviously, when you say it, I'm like, oh, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, you'll have a higher churn rate if it's an uncomfortable situation. I don't know about repeat rate, though. I imagine if it's just a certain level of uncomfortable, but the food's good enough, I would go back. But I'm not sure about if how often I would go back if I'm always coming out of there going, "Oh, my ears hurt."
Not only that, but loud, fast music, if it's annoying you and it's not music that I could say nourishing food for your nervous system, then you come out of there with elevated stress hormones. Not only you've had your meal, but you have elevated stress hormones from the music, which interferes with digestion. And so you may not really have as enjoyable experience as if it had been a place where it was quieter or more relaxing music playing, which supports digestion.
Now, how fast does it work? Let's say we're in one of those places and I don't know, I come out higher stress than I went in. If I step into my car and turn on something that I find relaxing, how fast does it work? Does it work fairly quickly, or do I have to listen to hours and hours of what I find relaxing?
It takes 4 to 5 minutes.
Oh, that's not that's not bad at all. Yeah, it's not a snap of the fingers, guys, but 4 to 5 minutes. I think that's about less than a drive home for most people.
Yeah, and that's a great question too. And we actually did a test on that, Sharon, which was so fascinating. I was doing some work with a technology company downtown and with kind of wellness days. And one of the presentations and explorations we did was on what kind of music would be good background music for when you're at work at the office. And so there were a few engineers there, there was reception staff and a couple of management people at this exploration. I had created a 15-minute track of different kinds of music with a heartbeat that is 60 beats per minute. Now, the medical system says a relaxed heartbeat is somewhere either between 50 and 70 beats per minute or 60 and 80, depending on what studies you're reading. So I usually go with 50 to 70 because 60 beats per minute is a second. So it's 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. So if you're playing music at 60 beats per minute, and it takes about 4 to 5 minutes for your heartbeat to come to 60 beats per minute. So that relaxes the breathing, relaxes the brain waves, and then you're more focused. You have a relaxed body and a clear mind, which is a really good thing to have when you have a lot of work to do. And so one of the engineers had a Fitbit on, and he took it off and then measured every single minute. He measured where his heartbeat was. And it was fascinating. I had a 15-minute track of different kinds of music that would help people relax. So each people could test for themselves, knowing we have individual response, which one worked best. And he found it took him 6 minutes. His heartbeat started at 70, and within about 6 minutes, it was down to 60 and it stayed there for the rest of the track. He was blown away. It was fascinating. He measured his heartbeat as it lowered and lowered and lowered all the way down to 60. So it works quite well with most people. If you're in high anxiety, it's hard to know because everyone is different. Theoretically, slow music will help the heart to settle down, which helps to release or relax the nervous system or reduce some of the stress hormones and increase some of the relaxation hormones, so dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin. All of those are responses from the nervous system. Pain relieving endorphins are released by the nervous system to the right music for you.
That's fascinating. I'm thinking of a workplace I went into, and they have a wide demographic of different ages of people. And I saw a lot of the young people had noise canceling, at least that's what it looks like to me. I'm no expert about these headphones, but these noise canceling headphones on and listening to music, according to most of them. Some of them were listening to podcasts and things, but I found that fascinating how instead of a overall music track in this place, that everybody chose their own music, which I thought was interesting. But where I'm going with this question is I find headphones annoying. I find my voice sounds different when I talk with headphones on. Does hearing the music through headphones or through the atmosphere, is it different how we respond?
There, I would say it's more unique response and also how the headphones fit because there's pressure on the ears. And there's also, as far as the nervous system is concerned, for me, and here I'm speaking with myself, Sharon, if I have headphones on, then it's like you don't have peripheral vision, you don't have peripheral hearing, you just have what's coming through, either noise cancellation or what's coming through the headphones if you're listening to music. And so there's the safety thing. Most of us feel more safe with peripheral vision because we can see a little more. So the nervous system recognizes that. And I think I feel, for me anyway, a similar thing with hearing. It feels like I can't hear if anything's coming up behind me or beside me. It can create a little bit of release of stress hormones because there's a feeling of not feeling safe, that our senses are cut off in a way. Does that make sense?
That's brilliant. My goodness, you were talking to my nervous system right there, going, that's it. That's why headphones annoy you. A lot of us with autoimmune have trauma in our life. It's not an unknown phenomenon. There is research that says that's one of the markers that may lead you to autoimmune. It doesn't mean it always will, guys. Don't take it as that. But they have noticed that people with trauma in their life have a higher tendency to come down with an autoimmune. And so safety is a big thing. If you've got that in your past and you want to think about it, and I just want to make sure that people understand this doesn't always have to be, as I hate these labels, but these are the labels, the big T traumas. This can be little T traumas. It can be grief. It can be any sort of shock to your nervous system. It doesn't have to be some sort of thing when, oh, Sharon, you said the word trauma and you're thinking something absolutely huge and catastrophic. It could be other things that upset your feeling of safety. And I had never thought that that's what the problem with headphones, especially noise canceling headphones, is. You're right. It is an immersive experience, which is nice. But wow, that just clicked with me like, wow, Sharon is absolutely spot on with that feeling of safety disappears because of my peripheral hearing is gone. I'm now just relying on my peripheral vision, which my peripheral hearing is more 360, actually.
Yes, it is. And when you have the headphones, especially noise canceling, it's like your peripheral hearing is like right here. It's not around you. We get so much information through all of our senses, and hearing is a big one.
Wow. Oh my goodness, that just sparked so many ways that I want to go with this conversation. Okay. So, like I said, I'm not saying that I don't like headphones. I understand the purpose of them, guys. If you like them, go with it. But man, that makes so much sense. It makes me feel confirm my sanity about why I don't like headphones. Much appreciated. Thank you. Thank
Awesome.
you. Now, what are some other ways our senses pick it up? Sometimes the beat is so loud I can almost feel it in my bones, so to speak. What happens to our body when we're in one of those immersive experiences where you almost feel the vibration of it?
Oh, definitely we feel the vibration of it, and what a fabulous question, Sharon. So yes, let's take a look at an example of you stop at a stoplight and a boom car is stopping beside you in the lane, and you can feel the low vibration of the bass right through your whole car,
Oh,
right
you're
through.
getting me antsy just thinking about that, but go
Yeah.
ahead.
Sound goes through you. Every sound you experience in your environment goes through you. In fact, the body is such a wonderful, I'm trying to think of the right word, it amplifies sound in a way, but it's also receiver for sound. And the sound goes through the fleshier parts of your body 4.5 times faster than it goes through the air. Sound goes through your bones 12 times faster. That's why we feel it in the bones. The lower the sound, the more we feel it, the higher the sound, the less we feel it in our tissues. It's still going through us. It's affecting us in different ways. Another thing I wanted to add to this is that our cells have receptors for sound. There are skin cells, all of our cells, the whole body communicates with sound, actually. And there are receptors for sound in the front of the body, in the skin, and in the back. There are more in the front. If an ambulance drives by with the sirens blaring or a fire truck, I'm sensitive to loud noises. So I'm always doing this. And then I turn.
Fingers in their ears, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I cannot handle close proximity of a siren because it hurts, causes me pain. And so I'm always closing my ears, or at least one of them that's adjacent to the main noise. Also, I turn my back. There are fewer receptors for sound in the back than there are in the front. Many people will do this. They'll turn their back to an annoying sound. And the cells themselves, there's some research that comes from the bone. One of the research institutes in Denmark, now the name is gone, for advanced physics, they found a sound wave called a soliton. We believe our nervous system, the way we're taught, our nervous system works on electrical chemical reactions at the synapses of the nerves. So if we have a nerve synapse here and a nerve synapse here, in this space is a chemical electrical reaction that transmits information. It's also believed that if your nerve cell has a stem, many nerve cells have a stem to it, and a skin to the stem of the cell, in the fatty layer in that skin is where a sound wave called a soliton travels. So it travels along the nerve cell and is also transmitting information in a slightly different way. And sound and light are closely related within our bodies too. So we get information that is communicated all through our body by sound. Also, another interesting thing, which is why I think probably our nervous system responds to sound as food, is that vagus nerve, which is it originates in the brain stem at the back of the head. If you point your finger right into that little dent at the base of the skull is where your vagus nerve is, or it originates. And the vagus nerve is called the wanderer. It connects with all of our internal organs, and it is a huge player in our stress and relaxation response. The vagus nerve on both sides goes right through the ear. And it's assumed, I'm not sure exactly how many studies are done on this, it's assumed that sound affects the vagus nerve. So if we have nourishing sound like nature sounds or your favorite music or quiet sounds, then the vagus nerve can transmit calming information as the nervous system responds with the dopamine, with the oxytocin, with many of the other neurochemicals that help create calm in the body. But that vagus nerve connects with many of the organs that respond in a huge way to stress. And so having sound affect it directly as it travels through the ears, at least through the ears, sound goes through the body too. However, the sound that is going through the auditory system is also affecting all of our organ systems. That makes sense.
Oh, it does, and it totally explains that why when I'm near fountains. Oh, it does, and it totally explains why when I'm near fountains or waterfalls, my bladder gets activated.
Yeah.
Sorry, not to be too gross, community, but that came through my mind. It was like, wow, makes perfect sense why I hear the noise.
Oh, and the three healthiest sounds there are for the human being are actually water sounds and wind and birds. Healthy, healthy sounds, high nutrition for the nervous system. For most people, we still have a unique response. However, for most people, those sounds are really nourishing.
I'll say most birds. How's that? Can I put an asterisk by my birds?
Yes, you can,
Okay.
because some of them are annoying.
Yeah. For me, some of them, the pitch or whatever the tone or the intensity, yeah. But yeah, no, I agree. I think a walk in nature is beyond just the obvious, being out, moving your body, all of that. The sounds are so relaxing. You come away just feeling completely relaxed. It's amazing to me. And I know that's the Japanese, they call it forest bathing, I think, something
Mhm,
like that, where they
mhm.
go out and immerse themselves in the sound of nature and find it incredibly relaxing. Speaking of relaxing, I know you work a lot with things like tuning forks and Buddhist bowls. I'm probably not saying that what they are, but the singing bowls. Talk to us about these other, maybe manufactured is not the right word, but these other ways that we can produce soothing, calming sounds if we can't get out and listen to birds or whatever.
Oh, that there are many solutions online, of course, on YouTube. You can Google relaxation music, even relaxation music in specific frequencies. That if you find a certain frequency, 432 hertz or 417, one of the solfeggio frequencies, that's a whole other topic.
Oh, you're
However,
speaking masters. How would I figure out a frequency I like? Let's
feel,
bring this back down to kindergarten.
yeah, how it feels when you're listening to the music. If
Okay.
you get an automatic, that's nervous system reset.
Oh yeah, I've been in those situations where I just feel the body ease into itself, just totally melt. And so
Yes,
that's when that hurts is a good thing.
your body knows, and just follow. If you have that big breath, you have a big breath in and a big breath out. That's the nervous system resetting, and that's the relaxation response starting. And the body just does that. When I'm working with one-on-one or working with groups, I'm always watching for the big breath, I call it. That's the reset. Or with myself, it can take 4 seconds of listening to bubbling music and I'm just, or bubbling sound water, and I'm just, that's right away. So listen to your body. Your body knows, and it'll respond immediately to the right sound for you.
Okay, so we can get back into the discussion of the science of it now that I understand what we're talking about. I'm like, how would I don't have a Hertz meter here. How would I know?
Yeah, listen to your body because it knows. And we spend so much of our lives up in our head, and I am so guilty of this, that I've learned over the years to become more present in my body and understanding the signals that the body gives when it's overstressed and relaxed. As far as managing a dysregulated nervous system, then it's important to know what your body feels like when you're becoming more stressed and what the body feels like after that big breath, I might say, after you've had that reset. And then being able to recognize when the stress hormones are increasing and then to shift that and consciously, because it's so important these days. There's so many stressors in our world that we need a lot of tools. And I also have here the tuning fork. Speaking of the science too, Sharon, is there's two frequencies in these tuning forks. They were studied by Dr. John Ballou, who has a PhD in music therapy and is also a naturopathic doctor. He teamed up with a neuroscientist to study these two forks. They're set. They create a sound that's called a perfect fifth in music. It's one of the most healing and balancing sounds. They studied a few different frequencies, but these two seem to be most effective at creating that response from the nervous system right away. In particularly, one of the cycles in our cells that is essential for health and well-being. In the 1990s, there was a great deal of research into a cycle called the nitric oxide cycle. It was discovered that nitric oxide is a tiny little molecule with the biggest job in our body. It's involved in every metabolic function our body has. Enormous job. And when that's a natural cycle in the cells that increases, it's like a breathing. It increases for 3 minutes and then it decreases. So it's like a breath in and then a breath out, a breath in and then a breath out. If something needs to trigger the immune system, then it activates right away, creating the right neurochemical response that will create an immune response. Now, the nitric oxide cycle, if you're stressed or if a person is really stressed, that cycle is depressed, which means that our body isn't functioning as well as it could. So their question in their research was, can a sound stimulate that cycle completely naturally? And it did in less than 30 seconds. Whether they were pointing the sound to live cells in a petri dish, they could measure nitric oxide in less than 30 seconds, or whether they had the sound by people's ears. They measured nitric oxide in the saliva. I think they were using saliva tests in less than 30 seconds. Very simple, very effective.
Wow. Okay. Can we hear
Well,
a perfect fifth?
yes,
I
I'm
know you've
going.
got the tuning forks right there. If you're on audio, I think we'll listen real carefully.
Oh, you bet. I'm just going to go into my audio settings for a sec here with a couple of clicks to go to original sound, just so that it's not going to be cut off by the Zoom platform. Okay, so I'm going to tap them, and I checked earlier where to point the forks so that you'll be able to hear them better. Here comes the sound.
That was pretty amazing. I felt over here we are over a recording platform, and I could feel a difference within my system. And it also made me reminiscent of a lot of what I'll put in air quotes meditation yoga music. That was a tone I'm like, I've heard that tone before. And that's
Very
where it took me was to the yoga studio I go to.
Very possible, Sharon. It is so calming, these two frequencies together. I brought them quite close to where the microphone is in my computer. We have a recording of this in a couple of different ways on our website, Sharon, if that would be supportive. We have in our store at soundwellness.com, we have a 5-minute recording of this. And also there's a recording on one of our websites. We created a download for people of a protocol of 4 different tuning fork sounds, including these forks twice within that sequence, called Nervous System Balance. And it is such a powerful sequence of sounds that really helps to stimulate that big breath and also a balancing of the stress response and the relaxation, so that the relaxation and also the nitric oxide cycle can be stimulated. That also is on our website. If you have a place for links,
Oh,
I can give
absolutely.
you that.
We'll put up that up at Understanding Autoimmune and all the different services that have our description in it, because that'd be so great to be able to download this and hear it again. And what are the other sounds that are close cousins to this sound that you found?
In that series, this is a protocol from John Ballou from his book Human Tuning. I recorded them because I found them so helpful and thought this is a series of sounds that can really be helpful to a lot of people in balancing that nervous system. So it has 4 different sounds. It's a 4-minute track, and it has the perfect fifth, which is the sound we heard. The second sound is called a perfect fourth, which really has an effect for most people on calming the mind. It makes you a lot of people smile with the perfect fifth. The perfect fourth sound, that second sound, is also a nice smiling response. The third sound in it is called a major sixth for musicians. If they know, it's two sounds that are a little further apart, and it's all about inspiration. So we calm the body, stimulate the nitric oxide cycle with the first sound. The second sound helps to calm an overactive mind. The third sound says, okay, time for inspiration. And the fourth sound comes back to the first, the perfect fifth, just to make sure that everything is balanced. So beautiful, so simple, and it's not exciting music to listen to, it's just tuning fork sounds. However, very powerful response in the nervous system. Really superfood. That one's superfood.
Oh, fantastic. We almost have to take a quick commercial break, but I want to be sure that we talk about this. I don't want to forget it. So I want to, this is so fantastic to me. The things that we're talking about are incredibly simple. And one of the things in all the years I've been doing the Autoimmune Hour, a lot of the healthiest things we can do are pretty simple, like sleep well, sleep hygiene, and taking a few deep breaths, light exercise, good food. And yet now you're talking about like a 4-minute reset. Just listening to tuning forks is surprising to me. We'll take a quick commercial break and we'll come back and talk to Sharon some more about all these ideas about how sound is food for our nervous system and other simple ways we can reset our nervous system just from everyday life and stress, plus the big T's too out there. So we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to the Autoimmune Hour. I'm Sharon Sayler from SharonSayler.com and, of course, from UnderstandingAutoimmune.com, where you can find over 470 and counting episodes of this show. And you've been listening to the amazing Sharon Carne. She's from Sound Wellness Institute, and she is also an author, an international speaker and trainer, and director of training and development, publisher, and musician and recording artist, plus so much more. And she is so well versed in how sound can change your well-being. And I find this completely fascinating because to me, sound is one of the easiest, inexpensive, fast things that we can do to reset our nervous system. Now, Sharon, what do we do if we don't have tuning forks? Can we recreate the sound ourselves?
There are things you can do with your own voice. And when you think about it, remember, we talked about earlier, sound goes through you. And one of the things that goes through you faster than anything else is the sound of your own voice. It is created inside of you. It is created around a lot of bone. We have our spine, the vertebra going through the neck, also the collarbone here, and our lungs, and the vibration of the sound of the voice that spreads to the rib cage. And of course, sound goes 12 times faster through the bones. So with every sound that your voice makes, you give your entire body a sonic massage. I call it a sonic massage because sound moves your atoms and your molecules, including the sound of your own voice. It's moving every atom in my body as I speak. And there are certain sounds we can make along with our intention that can really, really help to calm an overactive nervous system down. And one of the most important tools that I found recently, Sharon, with so much going on in the world in the last several years, is to get into the heart. Bring your awareness into the heart. It's called heart-brain coherence or heart coherence. And it can begin, like you said, with simple breaths, just breathing. I always like to imagine that my nose is in front of the heart, the physical heart.
I'm
So
sorry, that's
can
such a
you imagine?
picture. Okay,
No, I know it's a funny picture,
you
but
distracted
imagine
me
your
just with
nose
that picture. Okay, so let's back up. We imagine our nose
is
on
in
our
front of
heart
the
or in
heart.
front of our heart?
Yeah, just plant your nose right in front, right on top of the skin. I always see it that way. It looks goofy. However, what we want to do is breathe into the heart. We spend so much time up here in our brains, and what really guides our lives is the heart, and it's so easy to forget that. So one way to help us bring our awareness into the heart is to imagine that nose is in front of the heart and breathe in. Just playing with the idea. You can breathe out through the nose or breathe out through your mouth. Either way works. But breathing into the heart and breathing out from the heart so it centers your awareness into the heart. By about the third or fourth breath, you can feel the nervous system start to shift a little bit as the awareness comes into the heart. There is a response, of course, of neurochemicals when we move from here to here. And another thing I like to do to really cement that in and to really create strong heart coherence is a nice, comfortable, low hum on the out breath, So continuing to breathe into the heart. That beautiful vibration you can feel in the skin, in the flesh, in the bones, and that really helps to center your awareness into the heart. It's the heart that guides our lives, and we forget. And when we bring that awareness back into the heart, it helps to stimulate the nervous system into releasing more of those chemicals that create more balance and stimulating that parasympathetic, reducing the stress hormones. Can you feel the difference? Did you try the humming?
I didn't try the humming because of the sound counteracting your sound. I wanted everybody to feel it, but I could feel your humming, which was interesting to me, that I could feel it across the Ethernet here that you were humming. I'm curious about the sound, though. Did you make a specific sound, or can any hum that feels good to us work?
Any hum that feels good. Any hum. I just trust whatever comes out of my mouth for the sound.
I'll say for the sound.
For the sound, yeah.
I'm not so
We
sure
have
I
to
feel that way
qualify
about
that.
other things. For me,
Yeah.
I trust your mouth, but mine I don't always trust.
Oh, absolutely. But when we center our awareness into the heart, then we expand the heart field. The heart has this huge magnetic field around us that can be what's the right word? Not stabilizing. I was going to say destabilizing. That's not
I
correct.
think it's destabilizing.
Thank you, destabilizing. And as we bring our awareness into the heart, then we're stabilizing. The brain, I always feel that the brain's job is to support the heart. It's our heart that guides us. It's our heart that can make decisions. It's our heart that's connected to the larger picture of our lives and the larger picture of our connection to our spiritual selves. The brain cannot do that. The heart can. And so when we bring our awareness into the heart, we're settling ourselves into that larger, multidimensional being that we are, allowing the brain to go, "Phew, I don't have to do all that. Okay, I'll support you, heart. I'm good at that. I can do pros and cons and all that stuff, and let's just settle." The heart sends more information to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. We create an appropriate alignment for our energy and our nervous system when we have our awareness in the heart.
That's beautiful. I'd heard that before, and then the brain part of me goes, I don't want to always release control over here. But I have found, for me, the most successful decisions I've ever made are the ones where I took the time to go inside and ask all parts of me, okay, let's have a discussion here. And most of the time, the heart discussion wins. They know intuitively what's right for me. And that doesn't mean that's the right decision for everybody, but it's interesting that it's sometimes people in my world will say, why'd you make that decision? And I have to say, it just felt right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's usually the one that sometimes we give the gut credit for, but it sounds like maybe the heart was in there too.
I agree. I agree. The gut response and everything is so deeply connected, but the heart is the central. To me, it's the center of everything. The center of everything. And the gut response sends information, of course, to the heart and to the brain. Brain sends it, but the heart is the center. It's at the center. And when we honor that, and as you're saying, I love that conversation with every part of you, that it will make a decision that the brain might go, really? However, when I've followed the heart, it's always turned out more beneficially for me.
Oh, me too.
Hmm.
The hard part for me was learning to trust the heart. Because I think back to teenage years, whatever, those heartbreaking different scenarios you have through your life. And I find it fascinating we use the word heartbreaking. I think it's fairly accurate, actually, but luckily the heart is an amazing organ. But I find it fascinating that those are the times, even in those moments of the best, I'm going to use the best pain, because those were the ones where amazing insights or changes came about in my life. I made different decisions, I made better decisions. And were always those that definitely had long conversations with my heart and my gut too. We just have, about 5, 6 minutes left. What haven't I asked you? You are such a wealth of knowledge about sound and how healing it is. And it's, to me, it's like cheap and easy. Then
It
why don't we
is.
use it? Maybe because it's too cheap and easy, right?
Yeah, we often go for the more complicated things, but cheap and easy, and the voice, especially the voice, your favorite music, downloadable recordings like the tuning forks, they have good science behind them and can create a shift. Nature sounds, there are so many ways of surrounding yourself with nature sounds on mediums like YouTube. There are all kinds of recordings of nature sounds that you can find something that gives you that big breath. Always recognize the big breath. If you feel that, your body knows what will support you.
Now, if we feel ourselves and we're able to do that big body and we're able to sink into that, are there other sounds that we could use that maybe poke up the courage, or when we need to find our resilience? Are there other sounds that we can use that can shift us out of the relaxing part of the nervous system and use other sounds that might spring us into action?
What a great question. For me, I always go to driving long distances and what sounds help keep me awake. That
There you go. That
also
one works
that
too.
and inspiring things. And that there we come into individual response. So my individual response for music that inspires me, that gets me wanting to chair dance and get up and move around and dance around the room, is big band music. I grew up with big band music from my parents who played it all the time and would always dance around the living room. So I have those memories planted in my cells. And also the sound of big band is so energizing to me. It's faster music. Faster music tends to rev up the heart and rev up the nervous system if it's the right music for you. Also, Latin guitar, really fast Latin guitar music, I love. And classical music, some of it, depending. You can get inspiring classical music and in classical music that has so many different moods and changes. There, and most of us can think of our favorite music that does inspire us. You can also think of movie music when we get to the hero genre, the superhero genre. The music for that is always inspiring music. It's broad and it's strong and it's, oh, let me think. Da 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 da. Does it something like that that just is like trumpets blaring and let's go, let's go, let's go. The superhero genre is full of inspiring music that uses the sound in order to create that sped up heart and that everything is possible feeling.
I love that music is so versatile that we can speed ourselves up, everything is possible, and slow ourselves down to, okay, let's just, yeah, everything's possible, but let's just take a break here.
Yes. Yes.
That's fascinating. Share with everybody about where they can find the downloads that you have and the information, and they can find more about you and the Sound Wellness Institute. Please, Sharon.
Oh, thank you, Sharon. The nervous system balance, go to soundwellness.com/balance. And you'll be able to download that 4-minute recording from there, soundwellness.com/balance. We also have the 5-minute recording of the Perfect Fifth tuning forks in our store as a free download. There on soundwellness.com. There's, I think it's on soundwellnessinstitute also.com, where you can click on the store and look for free downloads. You'll be able to download it there. Our YouTube channel is full of sound baths and bubbling water and relaxing music and information, so that you can find some fun things there too. And our courses, if you're interested in learning more, you can find out more about those at soundwellnessinstitute.com.
Oh, fantastic, Sharon. Can you take us out on maybe just 30 seconds and play the one of the bowls that you...
Oh, incredible.
Oh, that's a beautiful one. If you're listening just to the audio, explain what kind of bowl that is. That's beautiful.
This is a very large Tibetan singing bowl that is several hundred years old, and it has a gorgeous sound. One of my friends nicknamed it Incredible, because it just has a beautiful sound. And I like using the gong mallet with it because it brings out the different levels and layers of sounds that this bowl has. Okay, so here is the sound.
Wow, that's fascinating how long it resonates with someone as you're listening to it. That's amazing. Oh, wow, goodness, that just reset everything too. You were right. It does happen fast. Everybody play with sound this week. See what happens for you. Write down in the comments if you're on YouTube or one of the audio portions of the show. Write in the comments about what's going on for you with your sound and ways that you use sound to increase your wellness and your well-being. Sharon, thank you so much for sparking this little bit of interest in how we can quickly and easily shift our nervous system and shift our well-being, shift our hormones. That's amazing. And like I said, everybody, you got to try it. It's cheap and easy. So everyone, please try it and check out Sharon's downloads over at soundwellness.com, as well as the courses and other offerings over at soundwellnessinstitute.com. And that's Sharon Carne. Thank you so much, Sharon, for sharing all your wisdom with us today. It's been fantastic, like always.
Oh, thank you so much, Sharon. I love our conversations.
And everyone, have a great week. Whatever your adventures, join me next week for another brand new episode. Enjoy.
The information provided on the Autoimmune Hour, Understanding Autoimmune, and Life Interrupted Radio, including the websites understandingautoimmune.com and lifeinterruptedradio.com, plus social media, is for educational purposes only. What you read, hear, and see on the Autoimmune Hour, Understanding Autoimmune, and Life Interrupted Radio, and its websites, and other media outlets is based on experience only. The information should never be used for any legal, diagnostic, or treatment purposes.